Do you ever feel like your mind is just completely out of control? It's constantly replaying the past, worrying about the future, leaving you restless and just exhausted. Why do we keep getting dragged around by these never-ending thoughts? Do you want to know how to finally break free from this vicious cycle? Today, let's dive deep into a timeless classic, The Power of Now, by Eckhart Tolle, the world-famous spiritual guide. This global bestseller has been called a roadmap to inner peace by millions of people. It shows you how to free yourself from daily anxiety and endless pain, and discover a new sense of ease and joy. By the end of our chat today, you'll realize something profound. Most of the things that torment you are simply creations of your own mind. The peace and happiness you've been searching for have never really left you. They've been right here, within your reach, all along. At the beginning of the book, Tolle shares a simple story. A beggar had been sitting by the roadside for over 30 years, always resting on top of an old box. One day, a stranger passed by and asked, "What's inside that box?" The beggar just shrugged and said, "Nothing, it's just an old empty box." But the stranger urged him to open it, and to his complete surprise, the box was full of gold. Many of us are just like that beggar. We're sitting on our own inner treasure, our natural joy and peace, without even realizing it. Instead, we keep chasing fleeting pleasures, security, and validation from the outside world. This book shows us how we unconsciously let our thoughts take control and miss out on the beauty of life itself. Before he became famous, Tolle himself lived for years in a state of deep anxiety and depression, even struggling with suicidal thoughts. Then one night, he had a profound inner awakening and broke free from that prison of pain. He discovered that most of our suffering doesn't come from what actually happens to us, but from the endless stream of thoughts we attach to those events. So, what exactly is that constant voice in our heads? You know, the one that won't stop talking, creating worry and chaos, and how does it control us so effectively? In the next part, we're going to take a closer look at this little monster living inside our minds. Do you ever find yourself wide awake late at night, your mind just racing? One second, you're replaying some tiny mistake you made during the day, and the next, you're stressing about a future that hasn't even happened. It feels like there are endless voices in your head, right? This is what author Eckhart Tolle calls compulsive thinking. It's not that thinking is bad, but it's the kind of thinking that runs on autopilot, that nonstop inner chatter that just never seems to end. Tolle estimates that 80 to 90% of our thoughts are not only repetitive and useless, but many of them are actually negative. It is like having a radio stuck on a station that plays nothing but bad news and self-criticism 24/7. The more we listen, the more trapped we feel, unable to just enjoy the peace of right now. So why do we get so caught up in this mental noise? It's because we mistakenly believe that this voice is who we are. We think our thoughts, emotions, and opinions define us. You've probably heard the famous line, "I think, therefore I am." For centuries, this idea has made us believe that our ability to think is the core of our existence. But what if that's not the whole story? The Power of Now suggests that identifying with our thoughts is actually a huge source of our suffering. We've confused the tool, our mind, with our actual self. Think about it. When you say, "I feel terrible," what's really happening? You're not a terrible person. You simply have a terrible thought passing through your mind, but by identifying with it, you give that little voice the power to run your life. We were meant to be the masters of our thoughts, but somewhere along the line, we became their slaves, dragged around by our own minds without even noticing. This constant identification builds up a false self-image, what Tolle calls the ego. The ego thrives on thinking. It clings to past stories, labels itself based on old experiences, and pins all its hopes for happiness on some uncertain future. It's the voice that whispers, "That's just how I am because of what I've been through." Or, "I'll finally be happy once I get that promotion." This ego is deeply insecure. It's always craving validation, terrified of rejection, and constantly creating inner conflict and worry. It's what keeps us from just being here, in the present, because it puts a filter over how we see ourselves and the world. So, how do we break free from this inner voice and the ego's control? The answer is simple, but it's profound. Learn to observe the thinker. This means consciously watching your thoughts and emotions as they come and go. Don't analyze them, don't judge them, and definitely don't follow them down a rabbit hole. Just notice them with a kind of detached curiosity, like you're watching clouds drift across the sky. When you start doing this, something amazing happens. You begin to realize that the voice in your head and the awareness that notices that voice are two separate things. That awareness, the part of you that's just watching, is a deeper, more peaceful state of consciousness that exists beyond thought. As you practice this non-judgmental observation, your thoughts start to lose their power over you because you stop feeding them with your attention and belief. You'll start to notice little gaps, tiny pauses of silence between your thoughts. In those moments of stillness, your mind is quiet, but your awareness is sharp and alive. This is where you'll find a profound inner peace, the first sign that you're breaking free from the prison of your own mind. Every moment you spend in this state of awareness weakens the ego and strengthens your true self. The key is realizing you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. With practice, watching, observing, and staying present, you can slowly but surely free yourself and return to a state of calm. Of course, that inner voice isn't the only troublemaker. We also carry around a lot of emotional baggage from the past. So, how does all that built-up emotional pain affect our lives today? That's what we'll explore next time when we talk about the pain body. Last time, we talked about that non-stop little voice in our heads, our compulsive thinking. But the troublemakers in our inner world don't stop there. Besides that loud, obvious chatter, each of us carries something even more hidden and explosive, an emotional time bomb buried deep inside. Eckhart Tolle, in his book The Power of Now, calls this the pain body. Today, let's get to know this strange yet familiar old friend. Have you ever had one of those moments where a tiny thing, maybe your partner forgets to take out the trash, or a coworker makes a casual joke, suddenly triggers a wave of rage? You say hurtful things, do something you later regret, and can't even explain why you reacted so strongly. Or maybe on certain days or in certain places, you feel an unexplainable sadness or anger, like you've been taken over by some invisible force. Those sudden, intense emotions that don't really match what's happening. That's usually your pain body waking up and demanding attention. Tolle explains that the pain body is the accumulation of all the old emotional pain we've never fully accepted, felt, or released. Imagine that from the day you were born, every bit of sadness, anger, fear, and frustration that you didn't fully process didn't just disappear. Instead, it settled inside you, layer by layer, forming a dense emotional energy field. It's like carrying around a heavy suitcase filled with old wounds that never quite healed. The pain body has two states, dormant and active. When it's dormant, you might not even notice it's there, but it's only sleeping. Like a vampire waiting for blood, it's always looking for something to feed on. A situation, a tone of voice, even a single glance that reminds it of old pain can trigger it. Once activated, it takes over your thoughts and behavior. You temporarily become your pain body. Under its control, your thinking turns dark and destructive. You unconsciously seek out or even create more suffering, because pain is the only thing that keeps it alive. It feeds on sadness, amplifies anger, and drives you to lash out at people you love, stirring up drama and conflict. Worse, it teams up with that noisy voice in your head. Negative thoughts awaken the pain body, and the pain body fuels even more negative thoughts, trapping you in a vicious cycle that's hard to break. So, what can we do when this powerful force takes over? Tolle offers the same core practice: awareness without identification. When strong emotions surge up, the first step is to consciously recognize what's happening. Ah, my pain body is active again. See it as something inside you, not as you. Next, shift your attention away from the external situation or the story in your head, and instead focus inward, on the raw energy of the emotion itself. Don't analyze it, judge it, or fear it. Just feel it. Notice where it lives in your body, maybe a tightness in your chest or a burning in your stomach. When you observe that energy with calm, present awareness, you break your unconscious identification with it. You stop labeling it as my pain and start seeing it as a painful energy inside me. This non-judgmental observation starves the pain body of its usual food, your thoughts and emotional reactions. Deprived of that energy, it gradually weakens. It's like sunlight dissolving dark clouds. Your conscious presence is the light that disarms the pain body. Each moment of awareness melts away a bit of its energy, freeing you from old emotional patterns. Now that we've understood both the mental chatter in our heads and the emotional baggage in our bodies, you might be wondering, why do these forces have such a strong hold on us? Tolle says it's because we misunderstand our relationship with time. We're constantly living in the past or the future while ignoring the only thing that's ever real, the present moment. So, what is the truth about time? And how can we break free from its illusion? That's exactly what we'll explore next part. In our previous discussions, we uncovered the noisy little thinker in our heads and the emotional baggage we carry, the pain body. You might have noticed a common thread. Both are fueled by our obsession with time. We're constantly living in the past or dreaming of the future, but we almost completely ignore the only thing that's truly real, the present moment. Now, let's pull back the curtain on the sneaky role time plays in our lives and explore why it's so hard to just stay in the now. Have you ever stopped to think, what even is time? The power of now gives us a perspective that completely flips our usual understanding on its head. It suggests that what we call psychological time, our endless regrets about the past and constant worries or hopes for the future, is actually an illusion created by our minds. Now, Tolle isn't talking about clock time. We need that to schedule meetings, catch a flight, or plan our week. That's practical and necessary. He's pointing to the psychological side of time, the way we unknowingly base our entire identity on mental trips into the past and future. And it's this addiction to psychological time that causes us so much of our suffering. Think about it for a second. What is the past? It's just a collection of moments that once existed, now stored as memories in your mind. And the future? It's a bunch of imagined moments that haven't happened yet, also created by your mind, right here, in this present moment. In other words, neither the past nor the future truly exist anywhere except in your thoughts. The only thing that is ever real is this exact moment, the now. Your entire life is really just a continuous stream of present moments. But our mind, like a restless driver, is rarely here. It keeps taking us on endless loops down memory lane or speeds ahead into the traffic of future anxieties and fantasies. It never stops long enough to rest at the station of the present. So, why does the mind fight the present so much? It all comes back to that false self we talked about before, the ego. The ego's identity depends on its attachment to past stories, like, look at everything I've accomplished, or I've been through so much pain. It also relies on its projections into the future, like, once I reach that goal, I'll finally be happy. Without these stories and dreams, the ego loses its footing. It feels threatened, like it's about to dissolve. That's why it does everything it can to distract you from the present moment. It can only survive in the framework of psychological time. This also explains why we're almost never satisfied with where we are. We constantly feel like this moment isn't enough. We're always wanting to be somewhere else, become someone else, or waiting for the next moment to bring us what we think is missing. But this addiction to psychological time is the root of so much of our pain. When we live in regret or resentment about the past, we're actually re-injuring ourselves in the present, feeding our pain body. When we live in fear or anxiety about the future, we drain our energy on things that have not happened and might never happen, fueling that restless little thinker in our heads. As Tolle puts it, all problems are creations of the mind. They need time to exist. If you can bring your full attention into the present, most of your so-called problems just lose their power. They either dissolve on their own, or you'll find that the wisdom and strength to handle them are already available to you, right here and now. But because our attention is always drifting between past and future, we lose touch with the living power of the present, the wholeness and peace that each moment already holds. This is the heart of the power of now. This very moment is all you truly have. It's the only place where life actually happens, and it's the only source of real strength. The past can't be changed, and the future is just imagination. Only by fully embracing the living present can we break free from the prison of our thoughts and the chains of our emotions and experience the true essence of life itself. So, if the now is so important, how do we actually stay there? How do we stop our minds from constantly dragging us away? Are there practical ways to anchor our wandering attention in this moment? That brings us to our next key concept, which we'll explore in our next part: presence. Hey everyone, welcome back. In our last video, we peeled back the layers on one of the mind's biggest tricks: time. We saw how it keeps us shackled to past regrets and future fantasies, making us miss the only thing that's truly real, the present moment. We learned that the now is where all our power and joy reside. But that leaves us with the million-dollar question. Okay, I get it, but how do I actually do it? How do we escape the mind's constant chatter and truly live in the present? How do we find our way back home? Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful ideas from The Power of Now: presence. Now, the word presence might sound a bit mystical or complicated, but Eckhart Tolle assures us it's incredibly simple. It's not some far-off spiritual goal you have to strive for. In plain English, presence just means resting in your awareness of this very moment. Remember when we talked about observing the thinker? That moment when you step back and just watch your thoughts drift by without getting tangled up in them? That's it. That's the beginning of presence. It's a state of alert stillness, a clear awareness that isn't drowned out by all the noise in your head. Think of it like driving a car. For most of our lives, we're on autopilot. Our minds are at the wheel, swerving between worries about yesterday and anxieties about tomorrow. We're distracted. We're not really in control. But when you shift into presence, it's like taking back the wheel. You switch to manual control. Your hands are on the steering wheel, your eyes are on the road, and you are fully aware of the journey, right here, right now. You still have thoughts, of course, but they are no longer the ones driving. You become the quiet, conscious driver behind them, the one who observes and the one who decides. So why does Tolle call presence the way home? Because, as he explains, presence is our most natural, authentic state. It's the pure essence of who we are, before it gets covered up by layers of mental noise and emotional baggage. The reason we so often feel lost, anxious, or incomplete is that we've wandered away from this inner home. We've gotten lost in the maze of our own thoughts, trapped in the illusion of time. Presence is what awakens that quiet, powerful core that has always been within you, your true self. It liberates you from identifying with your thoughts and frees you from the grip of time. It guides you back to the source of life itself, which is always fresh, vibrant, and whole. And when you start resting in presence, you'll notice something incredible happens. The problems that used to feel so overwhelming either start to resolve on their own, or you find new, wiser, more creative ways to handle them. More importantly, you begin to feel a deep, unshakable sense of peace, joy, and aliveness, a fulfillment that comes not from getting something outside of yourself, but from connecting with your own essence. So, what does it actually feel like to be in a state of presence? First off, your senses become incredibly sharp. You might truly see the vibrant colors of a flower for the first time, or really hear the sound of the birds and the wind outside your window. You'll taste your food with more richness and feel the sunlight on your skin as if it's the first time you've ever felt it. Your attention is no longer hijacked by your thoughts. It's fully immersed in the experience of the now. Second, you'll feel a sense of inner spaciousness and calm. Even if the world around you is chaotic and loud, your inner world will feel like the still, quiet eye of a storm, completely steady and untouched. You feel grounded, centered, and you're no longer so easily swept away by external events. And most importantly, in presence, you are free from compulsive thinking about the past and future. You stop replaying old mistakes in your head or endlessly worrying about what might happen next. All your life energy, which was scattered across time, gathers right here in this moment, and you feel centered, confident, and intensely alive. Tolle emphasizes that you can't think your way into presence. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's a state beyond thought. It's a simple, direct awareness that every single one of us already possesses. Presence is the awakening of your inner witness, that part of you that can calmly observe your thoughts rising and falling, your emotions coming and going, without getting lost in the drama. This witnessing awareness is like the vast, clear sky, and your thoughts and emotions are just clouds passing through. The clouds come and go, but the sky always remains spacious and untouched. When you connect with that inner witness, you rediscover your true self, and with it, the path home to real peace and freedom. Now that we understand what presence is and why it's so transformative, you're probably thinking, great, but how do I cultivate it? What are the practical steps I can take to switch from the mind's autopilot to this conscious mode of presence? Don't worry, that is exactly what we are going to explore in our next part. We'll dive into simple, powerful techniques you can use to anchor yourself in the now. In the last part, we explored that magical state of presence, the path back to inner peace and our true selves. Now that we know how beautiful it is, I'm sure you're all wondering, how do I actually experience it? How can I bring it into my everyday life? Don't worry. In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle gives us plenty of simple, practical techniques. Today, let's unlock these secret gateways into the present moment together. The first and most fundamental practice is one we've mentioned before, watching your thoughts. Remember? Picture yourself as a curious observer, quietly watching your thoughts drift by like clouds in the sky. You don't judge them, chase them, or try to push them away. You simply witness them. The key here is non-identification. When you can notice, oh, I'm having an anxious thought, instead of I am anxious, you've already stepped out of the whirlpool of thinking. You've created a little space between your thoughts and your awareness, and that space is the doorway to the now. Don't underestimate this exercise. It gradually weakens your habit of unconscious thinking and frees you from the constant noise of your mind. The second powerful practice is connecting with your inner body. What does that mean? Well, unlike our minds, which are always rushing to the past or future, our bodies are always right here in the present. So, directing your attention back to physical sensations is one of the quickest ways to enter a state of presence. You can try it right now. Close your eyes and gently place your attention on your hands. Can you feel that your hands exist without even looking at them? Maybe you sense a subtle tingling, a warm energy, or a quiet aliveness. Or you can focus on your breathing. Feel your abdomen or chest rise and fall as the air flows in and out. Don't control your breath, just observe its natural rhythm. When you tune in to these subtle inner sensations, your thoughts naturally quiet down. That's because your awareness has moved from the level of thinking to the level of being, and the body is the gateway to that deeper state. By regularly practicing this inner body connection, you'll start to feel more grounded, more stable, and more able to detach from negative emotions. The third technique is bringing full attention into your everyday activities. We all have daily routines: brushing our teeth, washing our face, eating, walking, doing chores. Usually, our minds are somewhere else while we do these things. We're worrying about work, planning the next task, or replaying something that happened earlier. But the power of now reminds us any ordinary activity can become a doorway into the present if we give it our full attention, if we engage all our senses in it. For example, next time you wash your hands, really feel the water on your skin, its temperature and texture. Listen to the sound of the water. Notice the scent of the soap. Watch every small movement of your hands. When you eat, taste each bite slowly, savoring the flavor and texture instead of rushing through your meal on autopilot. When you walk, feel the contact between your feet and the ground, and sense the rhythm of your body. Whenever your full attention is completely in what you're doing, without being distracted by mental noise, you'll find yourself slipping naturally into presence. The fourth and most profound practice is accepting the present moment. This might sound passive, like we're just being told to put up with things, but that's not it at all. Acceptance means saying yes inside yourself to whatever is happening right now, whether you like it or not, without labeling it as good or bad. It means allowing it to be, instead of resisting it in your mind. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, you might get annoyed and think, "Ugh, not again, I'm going to be late." That's resistance. Acceptance would be acknowledging, "Okay, I'm in traffic. This is what's happening now." Then you can calmly notice your emotions and decide what to do next. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop taking action. It means your actions come from a place of inner peace, not from frustration or negativity. This complete allowing of the present moment, just as it is, can instantly dissolve many of the mind's negative patterns and bring you directly into the stillness and strength of the now. All these practices for entering the present sound simple, but the key is consistency. It's just like working out. You won't get fit from exercising once. Cultivating presence takes patience and persistence. You can start small. Feel your breath while waiting at a red light, or fully taste the water when you take a sip. Gradually, being present will feel more and more natural, and your inner peace and joy will deepen day by day. As you start applying these practices, you'll notice that not only does your inner state begin to change, your relationships, how you handle problems, even your whole outlook on life will start to transform in surprising ways. So, how does living in the present moment deeply affect our relationships with others? That's what we'll explore together in the next part. In the last part, we've explored how to break free from the noise of our own minds, the weight of emotions, and the illusion of time. We've also learned some simple, practical ways to step into the present moment and cultivate a state of awareness. As you start using these techniques in your daily life, you'll begin to notice something incredible. It's not just your inner world that becomes clearer and more peaceful. Your relationships with other people, especially those closest to you, will start to shift in beautiful and unexpected ways. Today, we're diving into how living in the present can miraculously transform our relationships. Have you ever felt drained, disappointed, or hurt in a relationship? More often than not, it's because our ego is secretly running the show. Remember the ego? It's that false self we've constructed from our thoughts and past experiences, full of needs, expectations, and insecurities. When the ego takes over our relationships, we often start seeing the other person as a tool to meet our own needs. We might blame them for our unhappiness. For example, have you ever tried to control someone, wanting them to act exactly how you think they should? Or felt angry when they didn't live up to your expectations? This leads to endless cycles of criticism, blame, and power struggles. Even worse, our pain bodies, those old emotional wounds, can get triggered in close relationships. The two pain bodies then feed off each other, clashing again and again in dramatic scenes of love and conflict. At that point, the relationship isn't really about love anymore. It's about dependency, neediness, and projecting our own issues onto the other person. And that just leaves everyone feeling suffocated and unhappy. So, what happens when we learn to live in the now, when we bring presence into our lives? The power of now teaches us that presence is the ultimate key to fixing any difficult relationship. When you bring presence into your interactions, you step out of your ego's drama. You're no longer swept away by your mind's judgments, old resentments, or worries about the future. You start to see the other person as they truly are, not as the label your mind has created for them. When you let go of thoughts like, "I need you to be this way," real connection and acceptance can finally blossom. More specifically, presence transforms our relationships in a few powerful ways. First, it makes you far less reactive. When you're present, you become a calm observer. Even if the other person is having an emotional storm, you can stay centered. You don't add fuel to the fire. Instead, you give their emotions space to settle down on their own. Second, presence allows for true listening. Most of the time, what we call listening is just waiting for our turn to speak, or mentally rehearsing our reply. But when you're truly present, the noise in your head goes quiet. You can listen with your whole being, without judgment, to their words, their tone, and even the unspoken feelings underneath. This kind of deep listening is incredibly healing and creates genuine connection. Third, presence helps us release blame. When you're grounded in the now, you no longer feel the need to change the other person or blame them for your problems. You start to see that a lot of the conflict comes from your own ego and your own pain body. When you take responsibility for your inner state instead of pointing fingers, the tension in the relationship just dissolves. Finally, presence gives both people the space they need to breathe. You stop being overly dependent or controlling, and love can finally flow freely in an atmosphere of respect and freedom. This transformation isn't just for romantic partners. It applies to your family, your friends, your co-workers, and even strangers you meet. Every moment of presence is a chance to dissolve barriers and share genuine care. You'll find that when you connect with others from a place of peace, not fear, your relationships become lighter, more nourishing, and filled with joy. As our inner world becomes calmer, our relationships naturally get better, and happiness feels closer than ever. But this brings up a deeper question. Is the peace and joy we get from living in the present the same as the happiness we're always chasing? The kind that depends on external things? What's the real difference between the two? That's the mystery we'll explore together in our next part. Last part, we explored how living in the present can make our relationships more harmonious and fulfilling. But it brings up a fascinating question. Is the joy we get from a great relationship the same as the happiness from, say, winning the lottery or landing a huge promotion? What's the real difference between these feelings? Today, we're going to dive deeper, moving beyond the simple ideas of happiness and unhappiness to uncover the true anchor of peace that lies within each of us. In our daily lives, when we talk about happiness, we're usually describing an excited, high-energy emotional state. This feeling almost always depends on something outside of ourselves. For instance, you feel happy when you finally buy that jacket you've been wanting. You feel happy when you fall in love. You feel happy when you get recognized for a big achievement at work. These moments are wonderful, of course. But the book, The Power of Now, points out a crucial detail. This kind of happiness is always temporary and conditional. Think about it. The clothes that bring you joy today will eventually wear out. The relationship that fills you with bliss might hit a rough patch or even end. The success that excites you now will soon be replaced by new challenges and goals. And once those external conditions change or fade away, that happiness often vanishes, sometimes even flipping into its opposite, pain or disappointment. It's like being on an emotional roller coaster. Every thrilling peak is inevitably followed by a drop. If we spend our entire lives chasing this kind of fleeting, conditional happiness, we're just signing up for a nonstop ride. swinging between gain and loss, excitement and frustration without ever finding true, lasting peace. So, is there a different kind of happiness? A deeper, more stable joy that exists beyond this emotional roller coaster? Eckhart Tolle says yes, absolutely. And it comes from within, from our true self, from the state of presence itself. This inner joy and peace are fundamentally different from the emotional highs we typically call happiness. They aren't short bursts of excitement. Instead, they are a deep, quiet sense of contentment and stability that arises from your core. They don't depend on anything external, not on good news, success, or even perfect circumstances. They emerge when you reconnect with your true nature, with the very essence of life flowing through you. As Tolle explains, love, joy, and peace are three aspects of our inner being. They come from a place beyond the thinking mind, and because of that, they have no opposites. True joy doesn't suddenly curdle into sorrow. True peace doesn't flip into anxiety. You can picture this inner joy and peace as a heavy anchor deep within you. No matter how violently the storms of life rage on the surface, whether you're dealing with losing a job, a breakup, illness, or even experiencing success and praise, there remains a still, unshakable center inside. It's a goodness that transcends our labels of good and bad, a peace that remains untouched by whatever is happening on the outside. When you find this inner anchor, you stop being so easily tossed around by life's ups and downs. Your emotions no longer swing from one extreme to the other. Your heart becomes like a deep ocean. Waves may crash on the surface, but the depths remain profoundly calm and still. This is the true end of suffering, because you are no longer building your sense of well-being on the unreliable, ever-shifting foundation of external things. So, how do we find and stabilize this inner anchor of peace? The answer, once again, is presence. It's through consistent practice, learning to live in the now, to free ourselves from being identified with our thoughts, from our attachment to the ego, and from the illusion of time. Only then can we touch that deeper dimension of being and experience the profound, unconditional joy and peace that are our birthright. When you stop looking for happiness outside yourself and begin to explore within, you'll be amazed to discover that the very thing you've been chasing has been inside you all along. It never left. This is the shift from the having mode to the being mode, from striving for more on the outside to experiencing fulfillment on the inside. Of course, to truly secure this inner anchor and achieve lasting peace, we need more than just presence. We need to understand another powerful spiritual principle, the wisdom of surrender. What exactly does surrender mean? Is it the same as giving up or admitting defeat? And how can it help us transcend suffering and find true inner freedom? That's the mystery we'll unravel together in our next part. In our last video, we talked about how living in the present makes our relationships better. But that brings up a great question. Is the joy you get from a relationship the same as the happiness from winning the lottery? What's the real difference? Today, we're digging deeper, moving beyond simple happiness and unhappiness to find the true anchor of peace that lies within each of us. In our daily lives, when we say happiness, we usually mean an excited, high-energy feeling. This feeling almost always depends on something outside of us. For example, you feel happy when you finally buy that jacket you wanted. You feel happy when you fall in love. You feel happy when you get recognized for a big achievement at work. These moments are amazing, no doubt, but the book, The Power of Now, points out a crucial detail. This kind of happiness is always temporary and conditional. Think about it. The clothes that bring you joy today will eventually wear out. The relationship that fills you with bliss might hit a rough patch or even end. The success that excites you now will soon be replaced by new challenges and goals. And once those external things change or fade, that happiness often vanishes, sometimes even flipping into its opposite, pain or disappointment. It's like being on an emotional roller coaster. Every thrilling peak is followed by a drop. If we spend our lives chasing this kind of fleeting happiness, we're just signing up for a nonstop ride, swinging between gain and loss, excitement and frustration, without ever finding true, lasting peace. So, is there a different kind of happiness? A deeper, more stable joy that exists beyond this emotional roller coaster? Eckhart Tolle says yes, absolutely. And it comes from within, from our true self, from the state of presence itself. This inner joy and peace are fundamentally different from the highs we call happiness. They aren't short bursts of excitement. Instead, they are a deep, quiet sense of contentment that arises from your core. They don't depend on anything external, not on good news, success, or perfect circumstances. They emerge when you reconnect with your true nature, with the very essence of life flowing through you. As Tolle explains, love, joy, and peace are three aspects of our inner being. They come from a place beyond the thinking mind, and because of that, they have no opposites. True joy doesn't suddenly turn into sorrow. True peace doesn't flip into anxiety. You can picture this inner joy and peace as a heavy anchor deep within you. No matter how violently the storms of life rage on the surface, whether you're dealing with losing a job, a breakup, or even experiencing success, there remains a still, unshakable center inside. It's a goodness that goes beyond our labels of good and bad, a peace that remains untouched by whatever is happening on the outside. When you find this inner anchor, you stop being so easily tossed around by life's ups and downs. Your emotions no longer swing from one extreme to the other. Your heart becomes like a deep ocean. Waves may crash on the surface, but the depths remain profoundly calm. This is the true end of suffering, because you are no longer building your well-being on the unreliable, shifting foundation of external things. So, how do we find and stabilize this inner anchor of peace? The answer, once again, is presence. It's through consistent practice, learning to live in the now, freeing ourselves from being identified with our thoughts and the illusion of time. Only then can we touch that deeper dimension of being and experience the profound, unconditional joy and peace that are our birthright. When you stop looking for happiness outside yourself and begin to explore within, you'll be amazed to discover that the very thing you've been chasing has been inside you all along. It never left. This is the shift from the having mode to the being mode, from striving for more on the outside to experiencing fulfillment on the inside. Of course, to truly secure this inner anchor and achieve lasting peace, we need more than just presence. We need to understand another powerful spiritual principle, the wisdom of surrender. What exactly does surrender mean? Is it the same as giving up? And how can it help us find true inner freedom? That's the mystery we'll unravel together in our next part. Throughout our journey with the power of now, we've explored how to free ourselves from mental noise, emotional weight, and the illusion of time. We've learned the wisdom of presence and surrender, and you probably have a whole new understanding of what true inner peace feels like. So, in this final chapter, let's talk about how to bring these insights into our everyday lives and let the power of the present continue to nourish us. Let's start by revisiting the book's most essential message. The root of every problem and the key to every solution lies in the present moment. Your life isn't yesterday or tomorrow. It's happening right now. Most of our pain and anxiety come from being trapped in past regrets or future worries, while we completely overlook the only moment that's ever real, the present. The book reminds us, you are not the voice in your head. You are not your accumulated pain. You are the calm awareness behind those thoughts and feelings. And the present moment is the only gateway to connect with your true self and with life itself. All power, all creativity, all love and joy can only be found right here, right now. Of course, just understanding this doesn't mean we can instantly break free from old habits. Bringing these teachings into your daily life is an ongoing practice, a journey, not a destination. Tolle encourages us to be patient and compassionate with ourselves. We'll slip back into unconscious thinking again and again, and that's completely okay. What matters is what you do when you notice you've drifted. Don't judge yourself. Just gently bring your attention back, to this moment, to your breath, to the sensations in your body. You can start with small practices throughout your day. Take a few mindful pauses, even for just a minute. Feel the life energy inside your body. When you're brushing your teeth or drinking water, try to fully experience it instead of doing it on autopilot. When you're talking with someone, practice really listening, without inner judgment. When negative emotions arise, don't fight them. Just give them space, like watching a cloud drift across the sky. Every small exercise from the book can be woven seamlessly into your daily routine. What truly matters is consistency and conscious intention. As Tolle once said, the power of now carries a living energy. Each time you revisit it, you'll gain new insights. This journey of awakening is endless. It's not about becoming a flawless saint. It's an invitation to live each day with more awareness, more peace, and more love. Our shared journey through this book may be ending, but your own journey of living this wisdom has just begun. Starting from this very moment, try becoming friends with the now, and discover the infinite treasures hidden within it. Remember, the peace you've been searching for has always been within you, right here in this sacred present moment. May you all shine with the truest, most beautiful light of life in each and every moment of the now. Thanks for watching.